Hello, everyone. I'm Raíssa, and I'm bringing you now a new podcast of the blog Softball Não. This Saturday afternoon here in Natal, we have the temperature at 29 degrees Celsius, but it really feels like 30 degrees Celsius. It's hot, the sky is sunny, so it's normal around here what we have right now. Well, today I decided to talk about some misconceptions, these wrong ideas that we have in every aspect of our lives. Because yesterday I went to a restaurant, a Japanese restaurant, with some friends, and one of these friends is a descendant from Japanese people. Her father is Japanese. And what surprise! Just there, I found out that this friend who has a parent that is Japanese doesn't like sushi and doesn't know how to use chopsticks. You know, those sticks that we use to get Japanese food. It was really funny because we were in a Japanese restaurant with a Japanese-like girl, a girl that is totally Asian. And it was the Brazilian people who were trying to teach this Japanese girl how to hold the food, how to hold the chopsticks, and trying to recommend some of the sushi because she doesn't like sushi. She didn't have any idea about what sushi to eat. So I got all this idea about this podcast today because we have these misconceptions throughout life. I remember, for example, when I went to the USA the first time, and every time that I was introduced to someone there back then, people were asking me about soccer because I am Brazilian, so I should have known about soccer, and they were asking me about Romário, they were asking me about Pelé, and back then it was really strange to me because I didn't like soccer. Soccer became something that I liked after that because of this experience. We were having the World Cup in the USA back then, and everywhere I went, people were asking me about samba, about caipirinha, about soccer. And I didn't used to like all of these things. So it was a funny experience. And they got really shocked when I said that back then I used to play basketball. So they would, wow, to me, like, wow, you're Brazilian, you're a girl, you're short, and you play basketball. That's strange. So I got this idea of these misconceptions because we really have them. For example, Brazilian people all love soccer. No, I'm sure that if you are Brazilian, you must know a lot of people who don't like soccer, who don't watch soccer on TV, who don't go to the stadium. These people sometimes watch like Brazil national team only. But not the normal clubs, the normal teams that we have around here. For example, samba. I like samba, but I have no idea how to dance this. So it's not in my spirit, it's not in my essence to dance samba. Feijoada. Feijoada is a thing that I got used to eating like, I don't know what, 10 years ago maybe. Before that, feijoada was like something that I didn't like. And caipirinha, especially because I was a minor before, I didn't know the taste, I didn't like it. Now I like it. I think it's a good thing. And, in the world, people really want to taste caipirinha when they come to Brazil. But we have other misconceptions. I had a list here. Of course, it's not all the misconceptions that we have all around the world or even in Brazil. It's just a list that so we can talk about, we can discuss them, and we can laugh at some of these misconceptions. For example, talking about Brazil, people think that Northeastern Brazilian people all love forró. Well, I know a lot of people who don't like forró. And you know that we have some kind of forró. We have the traditional one. A lot of people like the traditional one. But then we have this new one that is something that I can't really define. And as you can imagine, I don't like it. This one that we have the bands playing about women, beer, about money. It's a kind of a funk, but with this style of forró here in northeastern Brazil. So yeah, we have a lot of people here who don't like forró and they don't know how to dance forró. Oh, another misconception we have about this is that the word forró comes from the expression in English for all. We have a lot of history books that say this is not true, that this expression comes from a French expression, but I don't know now, I can't remember now what expression is this, but if you pay attention to the pronunciation, it's really different for her from for all. So I don't think that this expression came from that. Other misconception that we have is that people from Rio Grande do Norte all like shrimp or pumpkin, because people from Rio Grande do Norte, they have a nickname. In fact, they have two nicknames here in Brazil. One is that we are Papa Girimum, something like pumpkin eaters. I don't like pumpkin, and I'm a pumpkin, and I'm from Rio Grande do Norte, okay? And I know a lot of people who are from Rio Grande do Norte, and they don't like pumpkin. And the other nickname is, and that's the official one. That's the geographic word for people who are born in Rio Grande do Norte. That is potiguar, and this is an Indian word that means people who eat shrimp. So I know a lot of people, yes, surprisingly, amazingly to me, these people don't like shrimp. I love shrimp. You know, I am the essence of the people from Rio Grande do Norte because I like shrimp. Other misconception that we have, let me see here. We have all kinds of misconceptions that you can imagine. For example, still in Brazil, talking about Brazil. In 1889, when we had the republic in Brazil, because before that we have the monarchy, people decided to celebrate the day that Brazil was discovered. And back then, there was this misconception that that Brazil was discovered on May 3rd. Can you imagine that? May 3rd is really different. But this misconception was famous then, was common then, because when Brazil was discovered, they decided to name this after Vera Cruz. And this holiday in Portugal was celebrated on May 3rd. So the idea that the Portuguese historians had is that if the land was called Vera Cruz, then it must have been discovered on May 3rd, the day of Vera Cruz. And of course, after 3 centuries, I think, they could see the archives, that they have the files, and they found the Pero Vaz de Caminha's letter that was the official document about the moment that Brazil was discovered. And on this document, it was very clear that the date was April 22nd, the 1500s. You know, it's a very beautiful day, April 22nd. It's my birthday too. So that is the day that Brazil was discovered. But until 1930, we had this idea that Brazil was discovered in a different day. So it is maybe the famous historical misconception that we have about Brazil. Another one is that Brazil was discovered in a city called by a city, or through a city called Porto Seguro, but we now know that specifically, exactly, Pedro Álvares Cabral he came to Brazil through the city that is called now Cabralha, as a tribute to him. Well, let's move on to other misconceptions then. First, people think that if we have a missing person, we have to wait 24 hours to report that this person is missing to the police. And this is a big misconception, for most of all because it is dangerous. You don't have to wait 24 hours. That's what police say all around the world, that you don't have to wait 24 hours to report someone that is missing, because the first hours, they are crucial to find that person alive. So maybe this is the most dangerous misconception that we have all around the world, because people have this belief, this idea that if the person is not missing for 24 hours, then the person is not missing. It's just somewhere that maybe this person can return. So let's forget about this misconception, because it is dangerous. Another misconception, wow, that's in the Bible. I don't know why, but all religions have this idea that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute. If you search the Bible about it, you can't find only one word saying that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute. So there is no evidence that she was a prostitute. And I don't know why people have this idea that she was a prostitute. You know, that's, I think, a big misconception that we have talking about religions. Let me see another one that I brought here. Yes, that's science now. We have this idea that humans evolved from chimpanzees. No, humans did not evolve from chimpanzees, because if humans had evolved from chimpanzees, we wouldn't have any chimpanzees anymore, because all of them would have turned into humans. But yes, it's clear that humans and chimpanzees are some kind related, that they have an ancestor that is a common ancestor to both of them. Using the same idea, we also have a misconception about evolution, because we think evolution is a progress from inferior to superior organisms. And this is not true. If this were true, we wouldn't have any other kinds of inferior life, like bacteria, we wouldn't have viruses, we wouldn't have insects, we would have only the mammals, because they are the top of the food chain. That's not true. So evolution is not a progress from inferior to superior. Maybe this misconception comes from the way that we are taught at school, because when we start to study biology, it's always from the simple or the simplest forms of life to the most evolved forms of life. So we have this idea that the evolution gets from simple cells, simple microorganisms, to big organisms. But that's not the idea. It's just a way to teach, because it is, how can I tell you this? It is more teachable, let's say like this. It is more teachable that we start with something simple and then you go on to more complex levels of subject. What else that we have about these misconceptions here? Evolution again, but about geography. We also have this idea that first we have very basic forms of society, and then these societies evolved, and now we have the Western civilizations as an example of the top societies in the world. That's not true. We still have primitive societies all around the world, some Indian culture all around the world, and also we have some Indian communities that are really evolved. I don't know if we can use this as the concept that they are similar to the Western civilization. So it's the same thing about geography. We don't have this evolution, this progress from inferior to superior, like inferior disappears and then we have only superior forms of society. That's not true. And it's so clear that's not true that we have the ISIS there to prove, terrorists to prove that not all forms of societies are that evolved. Another misconception that we have, sleepwalkers, those people who go to sleep and they walk around as they were awake, but in fact they are sleeping. Sometimes these people talk during sleep. But we have this idea that it is dangerous to them, that we wake them up during this crisis, during these episodes that they have walking around while sleeping. And all doctors say this is completely silly, that the only problem that we can experience if we wake up sleepwalkers is that they will be very confused. They don't know what's happening because they are sleeping. It's like a dream. So if you wake them up, they will be very confused about what's happening, where they are, but nothing dangerous to their minds or to their health. Nothing is going to harm them if you decide to wake a sleepwalker up. And the last misconception that I wrote here in my list, I think it's the funniest one. Is the lightning never strikes the same place twice. We have this idea that if we have a lightning in one place, that is the safest place now because we can't have a lightning strike in that place again. Guys, that's not true. That's so not true. That, for example, the Empire State Building is a place in New York that is very common that we have lightnings there. So the Empire State Building is struck by lightning like 100 times a year. So that, I think, that is the biggest evidence that lightning can strike the same place twice, can strike the same place more than twice. And lightning happens because we have some conditions that are proper to that and that are appropriate to that. And of course, if the conditions are the same, then we can experience lightning again during a storm. During the same storm, we can have more than one lightning in the same place. So yes, lightning strikes the same place more than twice. So guys, that's it. It was a very light subject for this Saturday talk in English that we have. I hope that you enjoyed this and you think about other misconceptions. I will be very delighted to discuss and publish other misconceptions that you can remind me in the blog Softball Now. And I hope you have a very good afternoon, a very good night, a very good weekend this Saturday and Sunday that we still have to celebrate, to relax. And tomorrow at 10 o'clock, I'll be back here to talk to you about soccer. Tomorrow we have a very important game here in Natal, but we talk about it tomorrow, okay? Bye-bye, see you there.